All right. So we should be live right about now. And we'll pick up where we left off. Creating a character. Called ZBrush. Digital software or digital sculpting package, excuse me. It's interesting. Let's see if it's even working on YouTube. All right. And naturally, Jeremy's telling me what to do. Bless his heart. He says that I need to talk more. Well, Jeremy, that's why I'm Silent Nick. Basically, what we're doing is actually blocking out the muscle structure for a character. We're working on the biceps. Let's go ahead and mirror and weld. So Jeremy was pressing me to basically get this going. Why I haven't done it before now, I don't know. But the inspiration that Nug is. I was like, well, why not? Let's see here, auto groups again. Don't like those colors, so let's hit it one more time. Let's delete by symmetry for a second here. We're going to hit quit 1 to move. I feel like I'm doing one of Michael Pavlovich's tutorials online for ZBrush. He's an amazing artist. This right here is supposed to be the tricep. Tricep comes out a little bit further than that. Yep. Can never remember what the little muscle structure is that's in between these two, though. We need to hit the B key to bring up your brush menu. And we're looking for inflate, so I, shortcut N. Topological again, so we're just affecting one side versus the other. If you don't mind, if there is anybody watching, if you could at least comment, that way I can say hello and whatnot. Hopefully this is streaming on Facebook as well. plate, mask, and isolate. Again, mask, unisolate, inverse. I think what we're going to need to do here is actually move these down, move these over some. It's technically, ooh, that's not good. It's running too much of the geometry. So let's hit tab and bring out a little fly out over here. Brush, hold shift, edit the curve. Curve is actually what is the power of the brush when it moves through everything. So as you can see now, when I click, it doesn't deform the geometry as much. We're probably gonna be like, Nick, this is boring. This is part of what it takes to actually create some of the characters that we see on screen or on a video game. Back in the day when not Pixelogic, excuse me, they did Toy Story, Pixar. I don't know why I had such a hard time with that. It was done through a lot of hard surface style modeling, but you're just using little vertices. So like if I click on these and I go in here and you can see where the lines meet, that's vertices. Also what we called NURBs back in the day, NURBs with attributes. So, looks like I'm talking to myself. Either way, it's still fun. All right, so we need to insert another one though, right about there. We need to hit Q for the M1 is my hotkey for the move brush. To actually, you know what? I'm going to go to B, insert, which is T. Just going to insert one right about here. W to move. So now that we have this mass, as you see right here, we're here to what's called our Dynamesh. Dynamesh essentially retopolize, I can't even say the word correctly. It redoes the surface of the geometry so that it actually makes sense to the computer. We want to project and we want to use groups. We'll say Dynamesh. So see how everything changed? We hit it again, so everything stays its own little group. Just like this guy. Nifty stuff going on right there, so we'll bring that back out. We need to go to B inflate, and that was N for the hotkey. So see how it pulls the geometry back out. Now Dynamesh. I'm going to ZBrush this. ZBrush actually makes it even more clean. Does basically the same thing. Takes a minute though. There we go. Oh, we can actually use M. We'll move it. Pull that back up in here. Section, if you can imagine, is this part right here in the arm. Let's do it with this one. So you got the two muscles that run on either side, and you have the third that runs through. And if memory serves me correct, that's why it's a triceps of 3, and then bicep for 2. So it's been a hot minute since I've freshened up on my anatomy. So let's pull this in here. This down. Pull this one back up. There we go. Back over. About like that, because it inserts under the deltoid. So you also have your muscles that run down through here, and I can never remember their names, but it runs over the shoulder blade or the scapula. Pull this. Oops, wrong way. Where's my? There it is. Now I'm huge like Arnold. I have big muscles. Or it could be a cage fighter like Jeremy. Stop grabbing that. So it has to actually grab the vertices, if you see. So I can actually pull this back out. Oh, there we go. Okay, so Dynamesh switches off now. It used to stay on back in the day, which was nice, but it's okay. All right, so put it in here and weld our arms, the upper portion. So let's go here. There's a lot of subtools and things that's been added into the software over the years. Back in the day, like we had to do all this by hand, insert everything, and create each individual part. So as you can see, it's like as technology changes and gets a little bit better, you have some improvements. But I feel that being able to do this from scratch as a sculptor is important, because if we rely on this stuff too much, like pre-made fab tools, it's just doesn't work out. You lose something. It's kind of like the meta-humans, like that you can use in video game engines. Like prime examples, like this little guy. I created this for whenever I was back in school, and it's a cartoon character, actually of my nephew, and I created a video game called Time Runner. Again, that was back many years ago. It's just one. So if I stop looking at it, let's see if it actually brings it up. Texting Jeremy right now because he's helping me kind of make sure everything's working. I can only see that one person's actually watching, and I thought it was just me. So watching it on my phone. I said, if you can comment, let me know you're out there. That'd be great. Click on them to showcase them in stream. Yeah, I'm still learning, so I don't quite know how it all works. So back to the sculpt. Let's go ahead and Z-remesh this to fix the belly. Like smooths it out some, which is good. Reposition the arms too. Let's go back. Deltoids. There's our arms. W. We'll hold down the Alt key. That enables the gyro to actually be messed around with and moved. So we want to actually move it to a pivot point, which would be there at the shoulder. Right about there. So now when I go up here, I can say, wrong way. Symmetry. There we go. Gently move these back some. Yeah, there we go. Go back to my move. Pretty sure this one actually comes way up in here too. Yep. It can actually take a long time doing this stuff. Hey, there he is. Hi, Erica. Good old exploring with Nug. Thank you for joining us. Greatly appreciate it. What we're doing is sculpting a character out that we will try and 3D. We will 3D print it. What we're trying is whether or not the geometry is sound once we're done. So I'm going to do bread. We need the forearms right now, which I think I created yesterday. There's the elbow, forearm, legs. Forearm. I'm going to turn you on. Go back to 1. Hit W to move. I want to put this at the center. Move this back over. Doing good, Erica. Just being inspired by Jeremy to start actually doing something on YouTube. We'll see how this works and whether or not I'm any good at it. What are you doing today? So where are we going exploring today? Thinking that we may head up the Etowah, either down past Hurley Bridge and then come back up towards the dam, which is the area that we really can't walk around to get to because it's all private property. Look at you messing me up, Jeremy. So you're trying to think. There's some interesting stuff. Like there's a video on Jeremy's channel where we go down to what used to be an old dam and scuba dive around it. There's just some interesting little shoals and stuff that look like there may be some good stuff to go look at. I know that area has a lot of history back to the late 1800s. There's so much history in this area. It's not even funny. One of the areas we were at last week in Augusta, I mean, we're talking colonial days, if not earlier. I really wish we could have got in those waterways and actually done some diving for some relics, little river treasures. That we were there with Wrecked and Recovered, which is Jeremy and Adam's new channel, which I highly encourage anybody that hasn't seen it, go check it out. All right, so this right here is going to be our forearm. There's several muscles that actually run around right here called extensors and flexors. For the sake of time, I'm actually not going to break it down like I did up here. I actually need to kind of speed this up some. I could spend all day on the anatomy of an arm. And I need the brush, and I'm looking for the flatten, which is a, so let's say back face mask. So what back face mask does is it keeps me from destroying the geometry on the opposite side. So let's turn this off and I'll show you. So as I'm doing this, I get too close to it, it actually affects this side too. I don't want to do that right now. So I'll hit on back face, and it actually keeps the geometry on this area, or excuse me, the brush stroke on this area. This goes up this way, get the plane of the forearm. That's going to look wonky, you can already tell. Just kind of straighten this out. Where would you like to run off to, Jeremy? You have somewhere else to go? You gonna leave this one on me? Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna merge down the geometry. So, okay. Right here is going to be interesting. So we need to isolate that mask on first. And we are going to move this somewhere close and easy to have some fun. Well, you realize how cold that water's going to feel today? The temperature drop. It's going to be so nice. Basically right here, like trying to get my landmarks and everything situated first before I get in here and start having too much fun with the details. Here, hit quit. I need to go back over to the brush. Polish, there it is. Because if we don't get the landmarks done first, then when we get in here and actually start making the details, nothing will look correct. Like, just, it comes out wonky. Really wonky, actually. Sculpting for, oh, most of my life, I guess, but actually professionally from about 2005 when I was still in the military. Then after I was medically retired out of the military, um, I ended up getting picked up by Marvel Studios to do some work on Captain America, Winter Soldier, or excuse me, Ant-Man first, then Captain America, Winter Soldier next. So when I'm not diving with Jeremy and Adam, that's where I'm at. 9 times out of 10, I'm on a set somewhere. Truly do love making movie magic. See here, mirror and weld. There we go. We could basically cheat through this entire thing and use, like I did before, go back over here to this. The mesh. Uh, then I have the different body parts, I believe, broken down for Darwin. Let me see. Nope, that I do not. Insert. one. Just like that. Say split. Split masked. Or split. There it is. So split unmasked points. So then we can delete the diamond thing you see on the back. Delete. Okay. All right, and unfortunately, Darwin, we're going to have to chop your head off. So you can go up here and hit knife curve. Just chop the head completely off. Perspective. Take a look at the geometry real quick. His geometry is actually pretty sound, which is good. Because if it wasn't, it'd make it for a pain in the butt. So now we have him. Let's go back to the model we're working on. Say insert polymesh. So we have it back in here. Say unify. So it'll actually put it to the size that it's supposed to. This leg up. This is actually a new feature within ZBrush. You used to not be able to drag your tools back and forth. Now that you can, it's great. Really makes good things, or makes everything easier to do, equaling good things. Yeah, I decapitated him. So I got to put a different character's head on here. That's what we're going to work on next. So I want to say insert. Come on, insert sphere. And we'll put that up here. Then I'll go back over here to Dynamesh the sphere. And we're going to scale it down. Up. Actually start having some fun with the head. It's supposed to be like a stylized character of some sort. I'm really inspired by a guy named Shane Olson. He does a lot of the Nintendo's Infinity series or Disney Infinity. Right, he does a lot of great work. It's kind of the same characters you see in Fortnite and things like that. We need move X. The trick to making stylized characters, though, is again knowing where the landmarks are. Because if not, it looks off. Right. So that's our general shape of the head. We're gonna have a little fun. Let's turn this down. Back to our B. B to bring up our brush window. And I want let's see here, where's a clay buildup? Hold space bar. Gotta turn the intensity down just a wee bit. On the Alt key to go into the surface. We get to actually sculpt. Shifts and this little blue circle comes up and it's like a smooth tool. Bring the nose. Follow the sigmoid process, which is your cheek. Bring our cheekbone in. And I'll start creating the barrel of the mouth. I don't give me. Yeah, smartphone drives me nuts too, so don't feel bad. So we'll smooth some of this down. We're going to bring out the forehead, which is your frontalis. Turn off topological for a little while. Okay, this is one of my favorite brushes that we're about to use. Whoops, not that one. This is the Ma Cut series. There's an artist online that created this brush based off of other presets within ZBrush, and it works so well. See, whenever you pull and shift, then I'll actually re-dynamesh everything. See how I kind of messed up the geometry, so you have to go back down here to the geometry tab, turn off smooth. Let's see here, turn down blur. We're going to project. Crank this up a little bit to 512. And so now we have a little bit more resolution to work with. Work on this for about an hour today, and then, like Jeremy said, we got to go find some adventuring. Hope to be able to continue to do these. So we'll see how it does. Go back here to my hotkeys. Start flattening some of these planes out. Let's build out this nose. So it's that. Now, right here, there's actually the flares. I think it's a nasal fistula, I think. No, that's not right. Can't remember the terminology for it, but it's actually very critical whenever you're sculpting the face to include that, which is you want to actually bring these wings out, because then it works. And of course the creases of the mouth, which will be right about, let's change the stroke over to here, right about here. Jawline. At this point, stuff is just mainly us going over everything and making sure we have stuff where we want it before we get too far into it. Crown of the head. Right now, just geometry just flows and it does its thing until we get ready to start getting down to the nitty gritty. Turn off that for a little bit. All right. Time. Zero measure. It's basically going to flatten out a lot of the stuff we just messed with, which is good in some sense because now we have better topology for what we're working with. Now I want to go to BI for insert primitives, go to sphere, insert the eyes, W to move them. It's approximately right-ish. So we're going to do the same thing we did before, which was split split unmasked parts. There we go. Now that we have the eyeballs, put this back where it goes. Weird looking puffiness happening. Not digging. Let's see here. What are we doing wrong, Nick? There we go. Bring that down. Face has a curvature to it. And when it's not right, it's just not right. Like when we look at it from different angles is when things kind of stick out at us. So I want to auto adjust distance. Now this is new. Every bit of this part right here is new. Because it used to be I could actually change the value right here. Not anymore. So now they got it in cameras. It's interesting. Turn that off. There we go. I want to align it to the object. Now I'm actually looking at this straight on. Excuse me for 1 second. Let me check this. All right. Nothing. Thank you, Erica. Believe it or not, this is the process that almost every character we see, like even in Avatar, this is kind of the process you go through to create everything we see. Remember back in the day, whenever Pixelogic first came out, with a Toy Story, this was much more labor intensive, more technical and less artistic. Now that we have at least the base of our head, we're going to go ahead and make our ear. Here's are some of the funkiest things. Sometimes you can get away with just doing a simple like donut cut in half. Donut, W, rotate it. Oops. Bring this out some, just a little bit. Bring it up. Scale down. Transparency on. Actually see through the head for a second. So your ear is about the same size as from this line here to your nose. over exaggeration of those parts are kind of what give people the character look. So turn this in just like that. Quit. Shape it. Just like that. On. Something similar to that. Rotate this just a wee bit. Now we're going to mirror and weld. Our character has ears. The plate has the hotkey. Hit X for symmetry. I don't have a good picture of Jeremy. Listen to him. Pull, and we are going to say divide one time. Just going to kind of see what's going on right here. This fold, that's not supposed to be there. So let's go back. Z, 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 there we go. Little geometry. Do a little Z remesher. Yeah, I don't like that. Smooth this down. Just one time. Remove tool, or move brush rather. This out. I think I'm starting to get wrapped up in the details again. So let's force ourselves to move on. So to get this to really actually take shape, let's take the skull. We're actually going to duplicate it, hide the duplication, or the master of the duplication, excuse me. Then we're going to merge down. This actually merged these two objects together, but if we go back to this, we've still got groups, which is good just in case we have to separate them later. So now we at least have those there, and we will say turn off topological. You do the eyelids. So the eyelids can be pretty difficult. Thankfully, they've updated quite a bit of this, so we can duplicate these again. We want to keep the eyeball still on. In fact, let's go ahead and rename that eyeballs. All right, and these right here will be the eyelids. So let's go ahead and rename these so we don't get lost. Hey, Chandra. All right. For you just tuning in, what we're doing is creating a character in what's called ZBrush. It's a digital sculpting package for doing characters online or, excuse me, characters for film, video games, 3D printing, collectibles, whichever. So our knife is still selected. And what we're going to do is go to the volume and actually increase the volume size. So we're going to scale it up. Whoops. X off. I want to see if something happens. Yep, there we go. All right, so we're going to delete by symmetry. Work with it for a second. But take this. So I'll go back up here, turn that one off for a second. We are going to make eyelids. Just like that. If you actually look at your eyelid, the top one folds over the bottom one. That's kind of what I'm trying to mimic right now. Oops, it didn't work. Why not? Turn that off. Turn that off. There we go. And that worked. I have a feeling it's not going to work like I want it to, though. Forgive me for kind of stumbling around in here for a second. I haven't messed with this for a hot minute. And I'm trying to find there it is. I want to move this guy up into here. Gently push it down some. There we go. The overall shape of the eyelid correct, then I'll be happy. Feeling that we're going to actually change this edge here in a little bit. Let's go back to the top eyelid. Pull it down. Bring it out. There's actually a fatty tissue up in this area of your eye that actually causes that droop. Unless you're like myself, where you got hit in the head one too many times and it droops on its own. Pull this down some. So we're just a wee bit. So in theory, you could actually isolate the top eyelid and the bottom eyelid and make it blink in an animation software. But we're not going to go that far with this guy. Turn that off. This down. Okay. Now we're going to say mirror and weld. We got two eyelids for each eye. Goes down to the head. We'll bring his chin out some. Only got about 10 minutes left for today. So let me know what you think. If you'd like for me to continue doing this type of live streams. Now, one thing's for sure, it's forcing me to actually get back in here and sculpt again, which I love sculpting. So what I did is I isolated just the ears because I wanted to bring these out some. Oops. See, that's interesting. See what's happening right there? Tells me that the geometry is trying to fail. So when the geometry fails, it collapses on itself. Time mesh. That's not a good thing, so you got to fix it. There you go. Now we've actually got to isolate the backside of this. I forgot a very important part. workflow. I take this and we're going to pull that in so it actually closes the ear. I'll just go in here and we'll actually clean up all this stuff, because this is just some nasty geometry. It's one of the things I found really funny when I started working CG. I never thought I'd use the stuff that I learned in school, like geometry, algebra, and things like that. I use geometry every day. Where's this at? I need the plate. Shortly. I turn off data mesh. We're going to ZBrush one more time. See where it takes us. Better. All these lines and stuff, that's where we need to be. That tells me that I've got good geometry working. So I want to smooth out just this last bit up here where the crown is. It's head tapered correctly, most part. We are going to move this in ever so slightly. Nub at the back of the head. And so then we can add the neck. We'll move on to that maybe later on. So we have about 8 minutes, 7 minutes left. So, make it like an elf. Make that wider ear look, personally. That's it. Yep. Back over this way. These up. Out. Let's get ready for the mouth. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and add the neck. We're going to turn the body off. Neck in here so I can mask this and pull this back down. I want to hit X for turn off symmetry. Go to unmask point, reset rotation, and pull this down. Rotate it back. Actually, we're going to scale this in some. All right. You're going to chop this off. That. Q. Isolate. Mask. Reverse. View. Set rotation. Pull this down here. So like back in the day, this right here would be horrible to mess with. And thankfully, the guys over it and girls over at Pixelogic are way smart. So they created this little algorithm and it fixes all that geometry. Pick that up so you actually see what happens. This on. See how this geometry is messed up right here. And then it just redoes it so you can actually use it. It's amazing. When it actually comes down to it. Let's say mirror and weld. Oop. So we're pulling this out where the sternomastoid would be. I think is that right? Sternomast? Sternum, mast. Yeah, mandible. I feel like I'm so out of it today. Yeah, it'll be the top of the trapezius, or no? Is that your trapezius or lat? I can't remember. Yeah, I need some coffee. A little too early. Just want to say thank you so much, Erica, and thank you, Chan. Is it Chandan? Jadan? Excuse me. Sorry if I butchered your name, but thank you very much for watching. All right, we are almost done with this part. And turn off Dynamesh. We will ZBrush one more time. Yes, coffee is good. I'm on like my fourth cup this morning. See, messed up right here. Build this in. Ooh, nope. Let's go give us problems later. The software itself is extremely easy to use. If you got a loved one that likes to do this type of stuff, you can actually download the software and play with it for free for 30 days. At least you used to be able to. I don't. Back in the day, I know you could, but you should be able to find them over at I think it's pixelogic.com should be their website, or just do a search for ZBrush. Let's go ahead and put the little hole that is our ear canal. We'll come back out this direction. There we go. Well, thank you. I'm glad you find it interesting. If you really want to see some really good artists, just do a search for Shane Olson. Stylized, what is it? Stylized character creation with Shane Olson. Such a good artist. He's got plenty of little YouTube tutorials and videos like this. Should have jumped on that bandwagon a long time ago. But I'm pretty rusty right now. So what I'm doing is actually filling this cavity in. And reason why is because eventually, whenever we get ready to remesh this thing and dynamesh it more, this area tends to turn into Swiss cheese. I have all these holes through it, and that is a nightmare come later on. So we'll actually bring this area back out because there we go. Kind of clean a little bit of that up. This area right here will actually get flattened out later, like this, right? Yeah, something similar too. I tend to jump over to realism a little too much. I don't know why. I think it's just the style. that I'm used to, instead of leaving things very simple. I tend to make them overly complicated. Just too analytical, I guess. At least that's what my wife tells me. All right. I'll work on that end. Oh, we are actually 1 minute over, but that's okay. We'll push this in here. Pull this guy out. Gonna mesh one more time. And do a zero measure. We're going to say the same poly count this time. And say detect edges. Zero mesh. See what it does. A lot of this is going back and forth until we find something that actually works. So once we have all this right here done, I like to take what I call the polish button down here. I think is what it's called. Yeah, clay polish. I'll hit this a couple times. What it does just kind of cleans everything up for us. There's our little character for the time being, and then maybe tomorrow, if this goes over well, we'll come back and finish this out. So hit tab so you can actually see. We'll hit Shift R to render, and there's our little character. On average, how long does it take? I would say, me personally, about a week to actually fully knock one out where I'm happy with it. Some artists are so fast, they could do it in a day. It's really the complexity of how the character will be used, if it's supposed to be rigged, if it is going to be rigged for video games versus animation for film. There's a lot of differences that go into it. So that's actually a whole different workflow. But I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you, Erica, and thank you, Shannon. And I am sorry if I am butchering your name. And I will catch y'all on the next one. Y'all have a great day.